Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to your studio. You're Joseph Finchum, and I'm you. And today we're going to be doing a new project. We're going to be painting this horse with a carrot in its mouth. If you saw the thumbnail and the title, you know what we're doing. We're going to be painting it in oils, and let's get into it. Okay, so I have my canvas here, and I'm going to be starting off with this 3-inch brush, just to kind of roughen the background. Okay, have I taken this far enough? Happy April Fools. We're not doing a horse. We're doing a daffodil and a butterfly. And we're going to be concentrating on structure and composition. Okay, so, all joking aside. Okay, so for the composition, what I know I want to do is I kind of want this like fanned out approach. So I'm actually going to be putting some tape here. Yeah, right about there is good. I should mention, it's not in the description. This is a very old Strathmore visual journal. See if I can get that a little better. No glare. It's cold press. It's 140 pound. I've never used it before. This is literally the first time I'm ever touching it. So I don't know how well it'll draw on. And then, okay, so second piece of tape. Let's take that almost same angle up here and then spread it a little more. Doesn't matter where it goes over here. I just want it so that hopefully I don't hit it with my hand and start peeling it up. So just everything's going to be in here. I could actually probably put a piece up here too. Just maybe right there. Okay, so everything's going to be in this white background, and this is mostly for the composition. I want everything kind of funneling out from this corner, and we're going to start. I hope you're going to be able to see this. I tried to make the screen darker. I am using a 2B pencil, and it's going to be mostly a line drawing. We're going for like an illustrative line drawing, not a lot of shading. We're gonna, because this will be colored eventually, and yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the cup of the daffodil, the cone, and I'm literally gonna draw a cup like you would a drinking glass, because this is just about the structure. Can you see this? Okay, let me see if I can adjust my lighting a bit. Still a little off, but okay, so none of this has to be perfect. Wow, that is really hard to see. That makes it worse. That makes it a little better, but a little darker. It did for a second. We'll just have to see how it goes. Okay, now I'm gonna kind of square this off a bit, less round. That's to incorporate the petals when we get there. Okay, now the cone has like that funnel shape where it gets wider at the top. So we're going to add another little circle in here that is larger than the one we already drew. Well, not circle, oval, really ellipse, I guess. Okay. Now, if we wanted to, we could give this just a little bit of roundness right on this edge here. Not completely necessary though. So that's our basic shape for the cone. And now the petals on most daffodils, there's 6 petals, just 6. Some do have more, like the bread and butter, no, butter and egg. They have like very frilly and multiple petals. This is kind of a combination of um, little gem, which have like a really big cone in the center, and Fortune, I think, is the other one, which has like has yellow petals and uh, a much more orange cone than yellow. So I'm kind of I'm making a crossbreed. Okay, so once we have that, we can kind of erase this inside edge. And we can just kind of think about where our frills are going to be. Less frills on the backside because that's curling over. So the frills would actually be behind that part. And let's see. Okay, so I'm trying to think of drawing through, which is something I don't do a lot of anymore, so bear with me. Um, gonna make like a big kind of ovally round circle there. Another one here that's just a little bit bigger. And see, I'm trying to draw through so you can see barely. Let me see if I can get closer on this. Okay, it's all taped to the paper. Okay, let's wrap that around so that it's underneath. Sorry about that. Okay, so if I need to move it around, I can. Still hard to see. If I could just cast a good shadow on that all the time. Ah, nothing works. Nothing. Just kind of working the ripples in there. Now this is going to need to be thinned out a little bit and a little bit more tapered into the cup. I'll just give it a couple little lines just to try and start creating some form in there. It's a little bit more cup-like, so a little bit more away from the center. And we can do the same over here. A couple lines going kind of rounded downward towards that center. This is, again, just barely barely drawing it. I'm just trying to get the composition right. This is already looking too small for what I had in mind, so we'll see how much of this we actually end up using. I can always enlarge it later, but we're gonna keep going with what we have. Okay, so I have those two circles for the beginnings of the back pedals, the front pedals, sorry. And I'm going to do another one here, another one here. And then you have to imagine that the other two are in the back, kind of there. And the pedals, the way they point outward, because there's 6 of them, they do kind of make like I guess the in symbology you would say like a Star of David. They make 2 overlapping triangles. So your points slightly rounded go like that. Drawing through everything, or at least trying to. Like that. And then you would just refine those a little bit. What I tend to do is that's the way it looks like it should be, but the leaves are a little bit, the petals are broad, so they actually, when they uncurl, they overlap. So I always go like a little bit bigger than the circle I started with, and then come to the same point and go there. I try. I try to have knowledge about what I'm talking about. Okay, it's April Fool's, Michael. I'll give you that one. Leave it to our imaginations. Yes. Okay, so same down here, going wider. This petal is almost completely covered, so you don't need to see it. Not covered, but just not there. You know what I mean? Maybe. Still not happy with this lighting. I gotta find a way. Oh, it's a little better. I mean, okay. So this one will also be a little wider, and it'll be in the back. So it's gonna have a little hook to it like that, and then a little bit wider up here, coming up and coming over to that point. This one over here is also a little in the back, so it would probably have a little bit of a curl to it as you were looking at it. This one is in the back and barely visible going off of the page. And then, of course, you would have a couple more back here, which would not be very visible. But I'm going to indicate them a bit. That angle is way off. There we go. That's a little better. This would probably come out a little bit more. This one, let's give this just a little bit more shape to it. Indicate a little rolling on the end of the petals. That's what they do. Or the, or the point will stick up a bit like that. Okay. Very basic. But that's what we're going for. We're just going for basic. the way I see it, the butterfly, now that I've drawn all that, the butterfly will be, say, little head will be right here. Big bug eyes. They kind of have a slimmer, kind of kidney bean shaped thorax. Is that it? Thorax? Like I said, I try to know what I'm talking about. A little bit of that end piece. We're just getting basic shapes in here. And then they have their weird shoulders. A little hinge there. This one. I don't know. I'm no butterfly expert. The angle, you would see more of that, less of the head. We're just working on some shape here. A little smaller, and that's more of his little, what is that, their tongue, their thing. So, okay. So the butterfly, bigger wings than expected. So, come right in here, start about halfway through that body, and then we're going to come up. In the photo in the thumbnail, that butterfly clearly has its wings more folded together. I want them more separated, so I'm going to have to draw it that way. See, yeah, so based on the thumbnail, you can see how far off the size I wanted this to be is, because I wanted the top of the wing to be up here, way up here, and it's not. Even though I'm trying to go bigger. I'm going to go even bigger on this. And then this is also basically like a triangle. So with 3 separate sized pieces. Or 3, what am I trying to say? Each side is a different length. This one being the shortest, this one being in the middle, and this one being the longest. And if you get that shape, usually comes out looking okay. And then the edges of the wing are kind of a B shape. So you go in and then back out towards the little angled corner there. And then the bottom is also kind of a B shape. So you're going to go out, in, out again, and meet up on that corner. Or as close to it as you can. There we go. Now that I've drawn that, I'm going to erase most of that. Well, not most of it, but the bottom line there. Just lighten it up a bit. Because with the wings open this way, the wing you're actually going to be seeing more of is that back wing. So this has to overlap up here. But we know where that other wing is now. And this is kind of, I like to think of it as the shape of like a guitar pick. So it's kind of rounded on the edge, and then rounded flat across the top, and then coming back to a point. So there we go. That is so not dark enough. And I don't want to make it too dark too fast, because that'll be a problem. Okay. I can get rid of any extra there. This paper is erasing. Okay, pretty much what I expected, since it's a rougher paper, since it's the cold press. But we'll see. basic shapes. That's all I'm going for right now. This is just figuring out how the painting or drawing is going to look in the future. Um, I will probably be doing this completely in Illustrator and Photoshop, but for this physical piece, I will probably try and color it with Inktense. That's going to be my goal. Um, don't know which I'll do on a live stream and which I'll do separate, but we'll see. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this. The reason we're doing this one today is because, again, the canvas I had ordered that it seems to be impossible to find. That project was supposed to go from the middle of March to basically the end of April. So now I have to fill that space on my schedule with different things. That's why we did the Simple Mountains 2 weeks ago, and why I did nothing last week, because I didn't come up with anything, and there was an appointment, so we just did what we had to do. That's what we're doing now. Hey, you gotta come up with stuff to do on these streams. It's not always easy. It's not always easy to think up the next project. Okay, so we have basic body, basic flower, basic wings. We're going to start adding some shape to these wings. There's always a little bit of like trim. So I'm just going to kind of edge that in. This wing, I think it kind of starts in the middle. Something like that. Okay, and shape. Kind of a big teardrop. We're going to go with that. And then you have kind of like a rounded rectangle. Kind of teardrop. I don't know how to say it. Maybe a teardrop with like a flattish edge. And then do another one. The angle's off. These should be getting much smaller. But hey, it's our butterfly. We'll make it look however we want. Do two more like this that are smaller. We're just putzing in the shape here. Trying to figure it out as we go. yes, Clark Fine Art. It is not always easy. Sometimes, like, I have the ideas, and then I start thinking about the logistics of doing something, and I'm like, no, that's not for live streaming. That's for sitting around taking my time, you know. And I am trying to take my time with these, give them a good once over, but we're trying. We're doing our thing right now. Just a couple more shapes in here. Just to kind of start getting into those spotty kind of areas. And they always have like spots going around the edge. We'll work that out later. Bottom, one big teardroppy shape, and then that weird shape that's kind of like their own body, usually. And then more flattened teardrops. Kind of bring that closer. Okay. Now, let me see if I can darken some of this for you so you can actually see it. I don't want to go to ink yet. And we also have to add in the back wing, which will be much lighter, much less detailed. Give this a little bit more of a lip, because they do sometimes have like just a little bit of a curve inward at the very tip of the wing. From what I've seen, it's a monarch butterfly, if that matters. So yeah. And there'll be some black in there. Maybe a couple of more random spots. Kind of overlapping. So we're just getting the basic ideas and shapes. Yes, the leads. Thank you, Clark Fine Art. The leads are Faber-Castell TK 9400 clutch drawing pencil leads, whatever they're called. They're linked in the description. Um, if I do decide to do ink, I will be using the Sakura Micron Pigma marker, whatever. The graphic one is the one I like. It lets you have a nice, clean, less weighted weight. I don't know how to say that. Less weighted weight to the lines. Yeah. So try and get a little bit more form in this. And make it dark enough for you guys to see. I know there's some of it that's not dark at all, so darkening that up. Okay, so let's go to ink. Because it's not as big as I wanted it, it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. Hey George, thank you for showing up and being here. Always appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so his little head right there like that. And his big bulbous eye. And his long proby thing. I'm gonna just a little indication of spots up here. And of course, I can't see anything because my glasses are no longer as effective as they need to be. They often have spots on their body. That's why I'm trying to kind of draw them in there. That should be a little wider. Trying to follow the shape of the wing, not the body there. Looking okay. Okay. We got some good shape going. I'm going to try and make these just a little bit big on the bigger side than I had them. Less room in between the markings. You know, just to try and get everything tied together and compositionally wise, looking like they're in the right place. When I did the little indications that there were circles here, I only did one, but I know that there's usually two, sometimes even three, depending on the age, I think, of the butterfly. And not all of them will be visible, so get a couple singles in there. And that age of the butterfly thing, I have no idea if that's right. So don't take my word on that. Hi, fly me to the moon. And official King's Design, thank you for dropping in and saying hello. We're just having fun drawing here. Starting to think I should bust out that pair of magnifier glasses I have. Maybe that'll help. I'm doing like a black trim all the way around. I don't think that's how it usually is, but it'll make it stand out a little bit more. And then all of these lines will get a little bit thicker and connected. Fattening these lines up. Trying to make them a little bit more organic looking, I guess. Bottom wing. Turn this a little. I'm just trying to build the shape here. Get everything nice and organized. figure out where my spots are gonna go, or where its spots are gonna go, many more than I actually drew in the drawing. And then just fill it in. It's so hard to see what I'm doing. Everything's just a little blurry. Unless I get right at the very bottom edge of my glasses. One of these days I'll get around to going and getting a new pair. That edge look right? Sorta. I assume that I can fix any anatomy issues later. So I'm not worried about its actual anatomy. Like its legs, I know their legs bend weird, and I'm not sure if I have the right angles here. I know it usually comes down a little, goes out, and comes back in, and then has like a little foot at the end. Up, out, down, little foot. Back ones tend to have go the other way. I don't know if that's right. Give them a little form so they're not so stick figurey. Little knees, elbows, knees and elbows, heads and toes. Okay. So let's start with the daffodil. And I didn't call it a dandelion this time. Okay, good. Kind of borrowing from that reference photo, but not really following it completely. give these ripples, like little frills, just a little bit more texture and size. We'll fatten them up a bit. Okay. It looks right, but is it? Just working on the shape at first. Should I even make that visible? Let's not worry about that one for now. And then this. See, this is way too high. I put that way too high for where the cup is. So we're going to come back in here a bit. Bring this one this way. Goes behind. Right about there. That's what I did wrong in the beginning. I put it way too low for where it would be on the actual flower. And that, you know, it can still be corrected a little more because this one still also looks a little bit off. All right, so the ones in the back, we'll just get those lines in. I don't know how I'm going to indicate the overlap yet, so that's something we might have to think about later. Okay. Try and give these a little form to them. Remember, we're thinking like illustrative, so no gradients, no fine, you know, no flowing from one color to another. Solid colors, solid highlights. Think silk screen printing, you know, you put one color on, you put another color on. That's what I'm going for. I don't block his little foot there. Curve that a little bit more, a little less there. think I may be at the end of the life of this marker. Seems to be, it feels a little dry. Still want those frills, whatever frills, to be a little thicker in that area right there. Ooh, yeah, the eclipse. I am not in totality, but should be about 90%, which would be at least better than the last time, the last one that came by. Uh, we were more like 50 to 60 area, so I hope to get a better view this time. Okay, I want this a little more hooked. So I'm just going to add a little extra in here. With my slowly dying marker. Okay. Darken that up a bit. It could also be the paper, just because the paper's, a little bit rough to be using fine markers on. So it's taking a little bit more ink to cover. This is cold press paper again, so. Basically the same design in there. Similar, not the same. Okay, we're looking pretty good here. This one petal needs a little form to it. Give it some quick markings. See, just a little indication of that, of the overlap. So that I know where it is. Okay. Now, since this is going to be orange, the cone is going to be orange. Let's try and just add a little more darkness to the top of the cone. Kind of cross hatching a little bit. very lightly so that I'm not making it too dark, but not too light either. Yeah. I'm going to try and erase a little of the pencil and see if it improves the look a little. Hopefully the ink won't smudge. I'm using the broad side of the eraser. When I do, or when I used to try and do more like comic booky stuff, I would use the complete flat side of the eraser like this, you know, and it makes an awful sound, and I wouldn't want to put anybody through that, so I don't do that in streets. Just a little bit on this leaf, give it some form and life. Yeah. It's not terrible, but it's not great. But again, this was just working out the composition. Can't read anything. Okay, so where did I just say? I told you I can't see, and my eyes are getting more and more tired as I go. This black. Okay, and now I don't know what to do with my time. Now, I had a piece of glassine here the whole time that I failed to use, and of course I have pencil graphite all over my fingers now, so I'm just making a mess of it. So good thing I have the eraser. Um, yeah, so I'm missing something. Not a lot when you live in Maine. No, that's not a lot of snow when you live in Maine. And D. Lynn, you said it was cloudy and rainy where you are. Well, it's cloudy here, but we don't have any other rain, so at least not yet. So we're good here. Yeah, I don't know. how to continue this or if I should. Um, I don't want to ruin it. It's definitely nowhere near as big as it should be. Let me go back to the. So this was supposed to be all the way up here. See, this is why we do things like this and practice and try things out. Because, yeah, flower needs to be much bigger. These petals should be like here. The cone should come to about here. But, yeah, I could add more things in, like around just to fill this physical drawing out. Like I could add just a bit of some leaves in the background. You know, daffodils do have leaves, which are usually almost as tall as the flower itself. Put one back here. They're very rounded at the ends. They don't come to points per se. And they almost always twist a little. Well, that helps this composition a little bit, but it's still too small. Still way too small. See, I was gonna do intense, but I don't wanna. I wanna actually get a picture. You know what? Let me just. Where's my phone? I'll just do that now. Hopefully, I can get a decent picture of it. Okay, gonna stand up. Well, the flash isn't supposed to be on. Just trying to not have the shadow of the phone in the way. Okay, I can work with that as long as it's not blurry, which I can't tell. Okay, so I'm gonna have to find the pens. Got blocks here. Going to need something I can put some water in because I haven't cleaned the water from the watercolor 2 weeks ago. I could probably use that rinse. And again, I've never used this paper before, so I have no idea what to expect. So, let's see what we can do with this. See how gentle we can be. I don't know if you can see the little white streak I left there, but I did actually try and leave a little streak. Trying to kind of lighten this a little bit. Just so I can use it to rinse. See if I can get a little bit of lightening. See if that's the right color. Definitely a little more pale, but not by much. I will say the paper is actually taking it very well. Too much. It's over here. Let me see if I can clean out that spot a bit. Again. Okay. Gotta try and get some yellow here. Some nice bright yellow that I'm going to mix with the orange. A little bit more yellow. Trying to get it to get in the brush. I hope that's light enough. Then we're gonna. Oh, I don't know. If I can just tint a little yellow. use the yellow that I mixed up that wasn't right to do the whole bottom section. And then we'll see just how good the intense white is. See if I can put some highlights on it after it's been colored. Darken up that bottom edge. Back to that original, the bright orange. So I'm making it a little bit faded in color. Because it's the bottom side of the wing. And the bottom side of the wing is always more faded and almost pastel looking. See if we can get a little bit of this in here, right there. A little shadowy kind of dimension to it. Oh, not what I meant to do again. Back to the yellow. Get some yellow on here. And we'll drop it in. Right along the top. Okay, so on that side, the rinsing the brush is going to kill me because I keep going to the wrong place. That side is the top side of the wing. So that's going to need more vibrancy. Maybe adding a little bright red to the orange might stand it out enough. That's a little too bright, a little too red. Red is a very strong color. Let's see if I can do some more orange on top of that to tone that down a bit. It's a little bit better, so, but in order to try and fix this, what I'm going to do is add a little orange to that red. Just give this a little more color and form. Lighten it up again. Just working right on the block. See, looks like I'm ruining my yellow, but it's not ruined. Not at all. How do you fix the yellow? You turn. That's how I do it. No. I could keep working in that same general area with that yellow, and it would be fine. There's a little orange in the water, so you might be able to see that. It's very weird to paint around a spiral, which is one of the reasons why I've never used this journal thing before. The idea of watercoloring with a spiral in the way is weird. At least it is to me. And I'm just trying to get solid color here. I can leave little highlights if I want, but it's not necessary. A little bit of this orange. Just a little bit. A little bit of this light brown. That's too much. I need to clean a well out. Oh, that's an ugly color. My orange mixing with a little green. Made quite a lovely brown. And by lovely, I mean horrific brown. That's one nearly clean well. It's yellow. that light orangey brown, mix a little of that in. Because I just want a toned down yellow. For everywhere that the overlap goes, and for a little bit of shadow. See if I can make that just a tiny bit darker for the overlap part. Okay, not too bad. Okay, so I have that yellowish browny color, and I'm going to add some orange to it to get that pale orange back, I hope. Try and add a little white to it. A little more pastel-y, if possible. We'll start doing from the bottom of the cone up. Trying to follow that cup form. A little bit more orange. I know I said no gradients, but darkest orange. That in here. Bit because I can't help myself. So from that darker orange, a little bit more of that darker orange, with a tiny bit of red mixed in. Keep it just a little bit more to the red side because we're playing with color now. This is all gonna Maybe just like a yellow highlighter too, if that'll work. I get some pure yellow here. Let it mix with the orange a bit. Okay. Back to that white a bit. We're gonna see what happens here. Because the white is always tricky with Inktense because, you know, it starts like really opaque, really transparent, and dries opaque. So it's very easy to overdo the white. Leaves a little color. A little bit more before doing that. Okie dokie. Keeping a better angle on that with less glare. Doesn't look too bad. Could use some work, a little bit more shadow. Down in here. That might be too harsh. Really not liking that edge. And you can see that white did dry much more opaque, like right here. So that's too white. So I'm going to drop some yellow back on that. Give these a little bit more shape with some color and texture. That didn't work. Little spot on the side of the flower, right there. A little fold. And I probably should have erased the rest of the pencil because there's still some lines here that I could have gotten rid of. That I didn't. But there we go. And I'm going to do this an old-fashioned way. I'm going to use my initials instead of my signature because it'll fit better with the drawing. And of course it's blurry, so I can't tell if I did that right. Anyway, that's it. That's us for the day. Hopefully the more explanation at the beginning was better, and, you know, something could come of this. We'll see. We'll see how much I can change it or how much I do change it in Illustrator and Photoshop. Yes, art supplies are fun and addictive. That is for certain. So, that's where we'll leave it. It could use some work, but you can see it's a lot more vivid than it does look when it's flat like that because I mean look, my hand is not that bright pink, so the lighting is doing something to change it, but it does look pretty good up close. And I can't move it too close because the autofocus is off. Because when the autofocus is on, every time I do this, everything changes. See how the color changes? It drives me nuts. Okay. Things are on Patreon. You can see them there. The full version of the Galactic Dragon Crystal Dragon is still in the works. There's so much footage, 30 something plus hours of footage. Trying to trim that down to make it feasible to watch has been really slugging, making the computer sluggish and just dropping it down. So yeah, it's still gonna take a while. And then there's this whole bathroom remodel thing that is happening, that I have to take care of or will be taking care of at some point. Yeah. So as long as I can think up a few more things to fill in these live streams that were planned and can't be done, we'll keep going. I didn't expect to color this today, but because I went so small by accident, yeah. Okay, thanks to my moderators, Clark Fine Art and Lynn Photography, Lynn Creative Arts, whichever one she's using today. Lynn Creative Arts, that's it. Uh, check them out. Their links are below. Yeah, they do. They handle the chat, and you'll see that in the ending spiel. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, what's up, everybody, and thanks for watching. First off, a big thanks to my moderators, Clark Fine Art and Lynn Creative Arts. Links in the description. Go check them out. They're great. They really help out by keeping the chat lively and in order. But don't go anywhere just yet. There are other ways you can help support my channel, like checking out my